Alright, so as the year comes to a close, I want to take a look at all of the best One Punch Man manga moments within it. And this was probably the best year for the One Punch Man manga since, I don't know, 2015 or something. It could be debated that this is probably the best year that One Punch Man in general has had since 2015. I mean, we've had so many incredible manga chapters, the consistent bi-weekly release of them from Murata and One, the friggin' webcomic came back and had a whole bunch of chapters, we had Season 2, 2 different games for the mobile and PS4 were announced or released. I mean, we've had so much One Punch Man this year, and it just seems like the future is very bright for this series. But for now, let's take a look at the 10 best moments. Just remember that it is subjective and that you're probably going to have different moments than mine, but man, there's so many to choose from and it was kind of difficult to narrow them down and especially rank them, but let's get into it. Number 10, AMAI Mask's Rampage. So this was an incredible moment because, first of all, we're getting to see AMAI Mask actually get his hands dirty. We've only really seen him dabble in combat up until this point, but now he's going against full-fledged demon-level guys and what could be conceived demon-level with the Rinky's Private Squad wearing the Paradisal organizational armor, but then also going against Super S, which is a very fitting opponent for him. But the way that he handles the Rinky's Private Squad is just gruesome. One of the most gruesome moments in the series, very easily, especially considering that these are straight-up humans. It's just really their mind that has been altered. So this is particularly violent, considering that most of the violence comes from us seeing monsters in that department, and also showing the utter brutality and just overpowered strength of AMAI Mask. Number 9, Gyoro's human reveal. So this was somewhat of a big twist. I know a lot of us, if we didn't already read the webcomic, probably assumed that something like this was going to happen, considering that we already saw glimpses of what Gyoro looked like in her human form. And then it was also subtly implied that maybe Gyoro, what we saw on the surface, wasn't necessarily the one pulling the strings. But as the chapters went on, it was made more and more apparent in her little battle with Tatsumaki until it was ultimately revealed in chapter 123 that it is in fact the woman that we saw back in chapter 92's flashback of the creation of Orochi. So we have yet to resolve the storyline, but still a pretty significant moment, and I think probably the 9th best. Number 8, the return of GENOS. So this was a long one in the making. We haven't seen GENOS for about over a year up until this point, and this is actually the first time we got to see the new form of GENOS, which I've labeled Daedric GENOS in action, when he triumphantly returns and just one-stomps the true form of G5, and also foiling Drive Knight's plans of allegedly trying to kill Sekigahara. This was an epic moment and just marked the return of Genos' entry into this arc finally. Number 7, Black S versus Atomic Samurai. So there's a lot of significance to this because first of all, it's Black S versus Atomic Samurai, but second of all, we're getting to see Black S's long-awaited battle debut. And on top of that, the mystery has been removed from him because before this, we had no idea what this guy was doing. And we finally got to see his abilities. And it turns out that, yeah, he has a lot of confidence because he's pretty much broken. He has a crazy regeneration, multiplicity, malleable form ability, which is a direct counter to that of Atomic Samurai's sword-based style. And he just thrashes Atomic Samurai in what we have seen Atomic Samurai's first dragon level fight since Melzergard, in a fight that he had similar difficulties in, which he actually learned from, where he was able to develop the Focus Atomic Slash, which was able to vaporize a clone of Black S, but it just simply wasn't enough to where he just eventually got overpowered by Black S, taking his first L of the series. Number 6, King kills the Mimic Monster via fear. This is one of my favorite moments in the series, and this is just like perfect writing in my opinion. I can't believe how well this sequence was constructed. It just really shows you how talented One is, and of course Murata as well. But no matter how many times I reread this sequence, it just gets better every time. Like, because around this time in the story, all of the S-Class heroes are getting like their feats of power and their big moments and whatnot. So it's like, hey, King's down there, let's throw him in there. What can he do? Oh, just straight up kill a monster via fear. Everything that goes into this is so hilarious. Like the monster trying to be Waganma and it approaching him thinking that it's going to get the upper hand, and it's just like
thinks that King sees through it, and it just winds up killing itself from the intense fear that it just feels from the presence of King. This is just perfect. Number 5, the return of GAROU. So this is another incredible moment because it was a long time in the making as well. It was over a year since we last saw GAROU take a thrashing to Orochi, and he wakes up finally and comes back in style and just immediately pieces up Puri Puri Prisoner to show how much he has grown, and also subtly achieves somewhat of a new transformation as well. And he's kind of like in this feral state now. And the last time we saw him, he encountered Darkshine, which goes to show what's on the horizon for him. But yeah, this is definitely one of the best moments of the year. Number 4, Saitama punches Rover. So this was a big moment, not only just for us manga onlys, but also for the webcomic readers, because we actually don't get to really see this happen. It was kind of just implied that he struck Rover somehow, but in the manga we finally get to see it, and he straight up levels him. But it's also giving us more insight into this scene because we see that Saitama actually appears to kind of sympathize with Rover somewhat, almost seeing him as a real dog. So it's kind of implied, I suppose, that he kind of holds back on the punch, but that doesn't mean that he gave him a love tap. I mean, this thing was so powerful that it creates a shockwave through the entire association as to where everyone feels this thing. Even GENOS, who is like a couple blocks or a mile away back at the apartment. Just the artwork on this is incredible, as well as just the impact that it has on the story at this time. Number 3, ZOMBIEMAN'S Rampage. So this happened in chapter 101, which is pretty much my favorite chapter of the year. I guess you could say it's like perfect. I mean, this is one of the best chapters I've ever read in any manga, period. Just, it's so stylish and it's so well made, and the choreography, the artwork, the violence, the dialogue, it's just as good as it really gets, I guess. I mean, it's just Zombie Man going through a video game level, just hacking up non-stop fodder, and ultimately taking care of a very formidable demon-level monster in pure blood, in style. I mean, he fights him for a while, dying up to 200 times before he ultimately takes him out. This is just amazing, and it ultimately caps off with Zombie Man seemingly running away, but only for you to find out that he's just bending the bars to lock the monsters in there with him. And then after he takes them out, he's just like, okay, time for another rampage. This is just as good as it gets. Number 2, Drive Night entering the story. So this completely flipped the story upside down and blew the community away. I mean, I was so surprised by this because it's new. It's new to not only the manga, but also the webcomic readers, because we hardly get any development on Drive Night. But not only are we seeing Drive Night finally in battle, as to where he takes care of a cadre in Neon relatively easy, but also reveals that he's extremely sus, and that he might ultimately be one of the biggest villains we have ever seen in the series, at least by my hypothesis. It's either that or he's revealing that Metal Knight is, but regardless, the ramifications of Drive Knight's actions in the few chapters that he's in this arc are going to have long-lasting effects on the story. Number 1, of course, it's Saitama versus Orochi. This is just One Punch Man at its peak. Probably the best artwork that we've got all year, as well as the most significant fight that we're probably going to see for a while now. And this is just the culmination of Orochi, the overpowered boss level monster of this entire arc, or just saga if you want to call it that, and Saitama finally fighting him, which seems to be the only person that was probably capable of taking him on, as we saw him go against GAROU with little to no effort. But we're finally seeing Orochi's full form and getting more insight into Orochi as a character, as he kind of had a similar demeanor to that of Saitama. But ultimately it came down to Orochi using his full power, which seemed to be actually more powerful than what we originally thought. But unfortunately, it kind of ends anticlimactically with a single normal punch, as to where I thought that Orochi was probably going to be able to take multiple of these, actually considering what Murata said about him. But nonetheless, it's still an incredible moment regardless of how it ends, and easily the best moment of this year. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. And like I said in the beginning, this was an incredible year for One Punch Man, especially the manga. But let me know in the comments what your favorite moments were and where'd you rank them at. But if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.